Hi, you guys. It's Elizabeth from Elizabeth's Oracle. Thank you very much for tuning in. Welcome back if you have watched any of my videos before, and welcome if you are new. I give an overview of what's happening each time the sun changes signs. Here are the start times for each topic that I'm going to cover in this video. And so what we are talking about today are the planets that are moving around in our general Aquarius overview, kind of what's Aquarius about, and then what planetary movement is happening in the next 30 days. Then I want to move on to Mars in Scorpio, and technically it went into Scorpio on the 3rd of January, but I promised that we'd talk about that a bit more, and the reason we want to start talking about it now is that Mars will be crossing the shadow of its retrograde late in this Sun through Aquarius cycle. And then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the planet Uranus, because that is the ruling planet of Aquarius. So stay tuned, and thank you very much for tuning in. Okay, so the planets that will be moving around during this cycle, not a lot of movement on the big outer planets, but it's the inner planets, and particularly Venus, who's going to get very busy this cycle. So she is moving away from Saturn and out of Sagittarius into Capricorn. So we're going to get very serious about what we want, because remember, Venus is our desire, and then we go out and get what we want with a little help from Mars. But Venus is about our attractiveness and what we're attracted to, and with it moving into an earth sign, that's going to kind of work with these Capricorn energies we've been experiencing so far this year, where we take a longer view, but we get very ambitious, and we do set our sights on what we want to happen next. And then later in the cycle, Venus will move out of Capricorn into Aquarius, like the sun is doing now. The other planetary movement is, you guys, yay, Mercury is going direct, yay! Celebration. On the 25th of January, we're out of the Mercury retrograde, and then more importantly, on the 13th of February, Mercury heads on into Aquarius and joins the sun. So we get more of this futuristic Aquarian energy in our thoughts. And, it is a lot more fun, I would say, than the Capricorn energy. Just a little lighter. This year definitely got off to kind of a heavier start, but all those planets were connecting with Pluto. So, it just goes to reason. And of course, the Mars going into Scorpio thing. So then on the 14th of February, Mercury comes out of its shadow of the retrograde. So Mercury is finally moving into new territory for the first time this year, moving past where it was before it started its retrograde. So if your year has started off, I keep kind of getting the analogy that it's been trying to run with muddy boots, and everybody in California is happy because they're getting rain and all that. But then, if you like to jog or go for a good walk, and then you got to put on your boots and pull them out of the mud, it can be a little challenging. So we had so many planets in Capricorn as we started the year, and we had that intense Mars going into Scorpio. Then we had, right out of the box, Mercury going retrograde, Jupiter going retrograde. So if you felt like, you just had to ease into your New Year's plans, you are absolutely on track. What will happen during the Sun through Aquarius cycle is you may come into it still feeling like, still shaking out the mood, still shaking the mud off my boots. Get the words out, Elizabeth. But by the end of it, it'll feel like, yay, finally, getting things are starting to fall into place. I'm starting to get some momentum. I'm seeing some vision for what I want. We do have a new Aquarius moon on the 8th of February. And for those of you who didn't set intentions on January 9th under that new Capricorn moon, or if you did and you want to just further them along, that new moon on the 8th will be a good time to do that. Okay, so one thing that's really interesting this year is that the always that new moon in February or under the sign of Aquarius is the beginning of the Chinese New Year. And this year it's fire monkey. And I find that really, really interesting because I feel like there's a Uranus correlation. Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius, and Uranus is one of the big outer planets, meaning it affects the greater, larger consciousness, but in our own lives, it can show up as, surprises, or especially when we're dealing with our Uranus transits, we're liable to disrupt that big popular word that's very Uranian. The way we've been living in order to get back on track in terms of like real life path stuff that we signed up for, before we came here. If we're not doing our purpose, Uranus will come along and it's the awakener. It'll wake us back up into spirit's purpose for us and what we came here to do. But if we're doing our path in the way that we're supposed to, Uranus can be this great energizer, because one of the things about Aquarius and Uranus is they both stand for integrity and truth. Now, where it gets dangerous is if we get intolerant and think my truth is the truth. We got to make a distinction. When we're talking about this, it's not just opinions. It is, it's not that immediate stuff. It's really just a higher consciousness and awareness, like those big awarenesses that we have when we just in our heart and soul know, as human beings, any creed, color, religion, this is a human fundamental truth or a universal truth. So big T with the truth there. And so this cycle coming up where the sun is traveling through Aquarius, the sign that is ruled by Uranus, will have some connections here with Uranus itself, which is over in Aries, instigating, getting us energized and enlivened, awakened. So again, I feel like this is part of where this cycle will begin to feel like we're turning a corner. We're actually getting the year started and getting into some of the things that we've wanted for 2016. And a big piece of that is Uranus. And when your life feels a little stuck, you can always, get your Uranus on and be willing to change things and shake them up and venture out there, especially in this huge long transit of it being in Aries until 2018. That's about being really brave, really bold, and finding your courage to do new things. And if that's a mantra for you for this year, this Sun through Aquarius cycle is a good time to start trying it on and integrating it into your daily life. So that's a little bit about Uranus. The other thing that I really want to get on to you guys today is Mars through Scorpio, because this transit cannot be underestimated, in my opinion, as to how important it is. So let's talk about Mars. So I did quite a bit of reading up on this because I was like really trying to get a handle on it. And the reason it feels so intense and so important, Mars we think of in modern astrology as the rule of Aries. So that's really easy to put together. Aggression, where I find my energy or where I'm ready to take action. And we can feel motivated and enlivened and all those, great Aries things, it's pretty easy to put together. Now, the Scorpio piece is not as easy because Scorpio brings us in touch with our emotions, our really deep-seated truth. And in modern astrology, of course, Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. Now, the ancients had Mars co-ruling both Aries and Scorpio. And so that hopefully will connect some dots for you guys when you're like, I get it. I can totally see Mars in this passionate place of Scorpio and this intensity. So, and I know gender roles and those ideas are sort of falling away. We're getting into an awareness of transgender and just we're not putting so much in these old roles. But to the ancients, Mars sort of was the masculine side when it was in Aries, and it was considered the feminine side of Mars in Scorpio. And so that may be another way to think about it. Either way, you're dealing with a very intense energy and energy that's going to prompt and provoke you. So the healthiest thing to do is to be in touch with even the uncomfortable feelings, just to dig at them and get to the truth, so it doesn't have to be a meltdown or get you to such a place of such strain and difficulty. And so here are the dates around this whole Mars 2016 thing and Scorpio, because as I said last month, this is going to be something we're dealing with for 8 months of this year. It doesn't leave Scorpio for good until August, and that's huge. Usually Mars spends 6 to 8 weeks in a sign. So yes, it will go into Sagittarius at the beginning of March. That's a whole other ball of wax that we'll be tackling when we get to that. I'm a little concerned about that because it's going to be next to Saturn. And we're going to discuss that then, because the Saturn things are about beliefs right now in Sagittarius. And again, that's where we get into my belief is right, your belief is right. And people are doing all kinds of crazy things thinking their beliefs are right. And so that's why we need both the Uranian visionary thing. What does the planet need? What do we need as a species? What, that kind of thing. And I would argue for the Neptunian thing of we're all connected. What are we doing to each other and the planet, etc. So another discussion, but Mars will be making nice connections to Neptune while it's in Scorpio. And so those are some other places that, we can use all that energy that Mars is. That's all it is energy. And we can be applying it, to that greater collective and to heal our own lives and our own stuff. And one other piece I wanted to share, because again, I was just tearing through the books to try to make sense of it and have something to help all of us, myself, you guys. And one of the things that really clicked in was we are hardwired to deal with Mars or our anger. A lot of times it's associated with us, but yet we're now in this modern societal context. So, for instance, when you're out on the road and somebody almost does cut you off, and we call it road rage, and there's this shaming and all this stuff about it. And I don't think we should have that, because you have a very physiological reaction. It's at our core because we had fight or flight to evolve. You were just put in danger, life-threatening danger. And, all these different processes start happening when that happens. You can be all enlightened and all intellectual, and your heart will still pump. Your adrenaline, which Mars rules your adrenaline, is gonna start pumping. If we measured your blood pressure, it's gonna be up. If we, pricked your finger and took the little glucose test, you would have more glucose after one of those experiences. You're just I'm physiologically wired for this. And then the problem that I notice is that then, say you park in the parking lot, kind of gather yourself for a second, and then you go in the grocery store, but your body's still pumping. You're still pumped from what just happened. So I think it's really important. That you recognize, you're then going into a new environment where everybody's like, well, act normal, have appropriate behavior. So I would just say, drawing on that Neptunian compassion and being aware, and Scorpio can really help us with awareness. And so if that's you pulling into the parking lot, giving yourself a few minutes to actually decompress and go, my life was just put in danger. I'm a pedestrian and I lived in LA for 20 years, and I can't tell you how many times I had the go man in the light, and yet somebody would blow through. And that was, just very upsetting. So, and that's not when to just, I'm just going to go sit on the mountain and meditate. I had to be in touch with the physiological process that happens, and then refocus, and then be able to go into a new environment, the gym or wherever I was on my way to, integrating that. So Neptune is really helping us with the integration, but I did want to give Mars its due. I know that's just a small piece of it, but because it's going to be going into Scorpio and then connecting with Saturn, I just think all of us looking at even political situations that extend where you have North Korea threatening to blow the west coast of the United States up. We do get fired up about these things. So just being conscious of where we put that energy and how we manage that energy is something I think we can work on, and we're getting into groups as we come around political situations this year. So again, maybe using this cycle with its connections to Uranus to go, what's the real vision? Which candidates have the real vision for the planet? Who's going to help move things forward for us? And being open-minded and hearted like that, and treating each other well, even if we come from different political parties. We're all in this together. So those are my thoughts. And now let's get to the resources and some other things. All right. So that was a long one, but I'm finally settling back in. I told you I'd get back to work. And I want to thank you guys. This video marks 1 year of being on YouTube. I was like, I'm going to try this during experimental Aquarius a year ago, and I'm enjoying it. And it's nice to see you guys are watching, and some of you are subscribing. So thank you very much for that. I'm enjoying putting this together. And I do have a fairy tarot deck to give away. Radley Valentine autographed that. I have drawn the winner. I'm going to put her name in the description box because I haven't heard back from her at the time of this video recording. But we also had a winner last month from Arizona, Barbara, who was very generous about letting us use her name and post it. So she said she's ecstatic and enjoying the card. So thank you, Radley. Thank you, Barbara. And to everybody who joined my email list, you can join the email list to get a free monthly newsletter. Your information is always respected. You can also tune in. I do radio appearances every month with my friend Kristy Ayala on Kristy's Connection to the Soul. It's on Blog Talk Radio. And every now and again, I visit my other Kristy Walsh, on her show, Surfing the Psychic Waves. But don't wait for me to be on there. She interviews all these really cool metaphysical people. And you can check out all the archives for both shows. The links are here in the description box. The only other announcement is, yes, it's the YouTube special. If you get a reading on my site, you get 5 free minutes with your first order. I always make sure that you guys know that. And I'll be joining you next month when the sun moves into Pisces. We'll talk more about the mutable cross because, that's going to flare up again with the sun moving through Pisces. But for now, I would just say let this cycle, let the higher vibration of Uranus start to open up and help you see light at the end of some of those tunnels, especially if you thought, well, I'm going to go into the new year and get some things going. And you just, again, we're like bursting out the front door to go running and realized it had, a mudslide landed in your front yard or on your street, which some of my friends in LA, that's quite literal. So just take it easy, get started. But I do think you'll start to feel a little momentum shift during this cycle. So just let's lay. Thank you so much for watching, and just wishing you blessings, peace, and really self-love, self-compassion as we move ahead into the new year.